Okay, so think about this. Every single day, trillions with a T of dollars in stocks and bonds are flying around the globe. But what is the invisible force that keeps this whole massive system from just collapsing? Well, today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the financial markets' ultimate safety net.
I mean, really, how does it work? When you buy a stock, you're basically sending a huge amount of money to a total stranger, just trusting that they're going to send you the shares. What's the guarantee you won't get completely ripped off?
This gets to the heart of what you could call the billion-dollar handshake problem. It's this massive risk that one side pays up, but the other side just doesn't deliver. In our world of instant digital everything, how do you make absolutely sure that that handshake happens at the exact same time? Well, this nightmare scenario actually has a name. It's called principal risk. And it's that fundamental fear in any transaction, right? The classic, hey, I paid for it, but the goods never showed up. Now, in finance, a slip-up like that could do way more than just ruin your day. It could actually destabilize the entire market.
So, how in the world do we conquer principal risk? Well, it turns out the solution is a beautifully simple but incredibly powerful concept that acts as the market's safety net. It's called delivery versus payment, or just DvP for short. And honestly, the name says it all. The whole principle is that the assets and the cash have to be exchanged at the exact same moment. Not a millisecond before, not a millisecond after. It has to be perfectly, and I mean perfectly, simultaneous.
And that guarantee, that promise of a simultaneous swap, is exactly what wipes out principal risk. It's impossible for one hand to receive something if the other hand isn't giving something at that very same instant. So yeah, it's a system built on trust, but more importantly, it's a system enforced by some very, very solid rules.
But who actually enforces this rule? That job falls to a super important trusted middleman called the Central Securities Depository, or CSD. The easiest way to think of it is like a super secure digital escrow service for the entire financial world. The buyer's cash and the seller's shares both go into the CSD to make the exchange happen safely. So, how does this digital escrow really work under the hood? Okay, let's break down the mechanics of the swap step by step.
It all happens in 3 key phases. First up, instruction and blocking. This is where both the buyer's cash and the seller's assets get locked down, basically reserved for this one specific trade. Next comes the atomic exchange. Now, atomic here is a cool word that just means the action is all or nothing. It either happens completely or it doesn't happen at all. This is the magic moment where the CSD swaps the assets and the cash. And finally, confirmation. The CSD sends out a success message and boom, the transaction is officially on the books.
Now, for this whole intricate dance to work, that CSD has to talk flawlessly with the computer systems of both the buyer and the seller. This whole financial conversation has its own language, its own grammar and vocabulary, and just like any language, it's always evolving to get, well, a whole lot smarter. And this table really shows you that evolution in action. For decades, the system ran on something called SWIFT-MT. You can think of it like an old-school financial telegram. It got the job done, but it was super rigid, kind of clunky, and could be a little ambiguous. The modern standard, ISO 2022, is more like a rich, perfectly structured email. It's way more flexible, it explicitly flags a trade as DvP, so there's no confusion, and it can carry a ton more data. This upgrade means more automation and way, way fewer expensive mistakes.
The impact of this new language is just huge. It's like going from a bumpy, winding country road to a smooth, multi-lane superhighway. When the communication is clearer, trades settle faster, they're done with pinpoint accuracy, and the entire market gets safer because there's just less room for things to go wrong.
But look, these principles and these fancy new languages are only half the story. They actually have to be built into the code itself, into the digital backbone of the financial world's IT systems. So behind what looks like a seamless process, there's a ton of complexity. The system's code has to be bilingual. It has to understand both the old and new message formats. It needs to know the difference between trades that involve payment and those that don't. It has to track the status of every single transaction perfectly. And, this is so crucial, it has to be able to automatically reverse a trade if it fails for any reason. That's a huge safety feature. So here's the bottom line. Delivery versus payment isn't just a good idea or some abstract principle. It's a powerful financial concept that is brought to life by some incredibly sophisticated technology. It's this perfect harmony of rules and code working together that keeps our markets running smoothly.
And that leaves us with one final, pretty big question. We're hurtling towards a world of instant payments, real-time everything. So in that future, how will these foundational safety nets, things like DvP, have to evolve to keep up? How do we make sure our financial system can be both lightning fast and fundamentally secure? Something to think about.